Hello everybody, and I'm back here with another episode of Racing with Remy. This will be the last time I'm recording my dad only, as well with me as of right now. I'll bring him back a week later to record with me, but next week I'll just do it by myself.
Alright, that sounds like an idea.
Yeah. So this week we are covering the ARCA Menards series, which was cut short because of the shutdown. I'm wondering why Brett Holmes won the championship, but we'll get to that later. Anyways, ARCA Menards series. Daytona Lucas Oil 200, I think it was won by Michael Self. Next up is Phoenix, which was won by Chandler Smith. Next up is the first race after the shutdown, which was at Talladega, which was won by Drew Dollar. At Pocono is our next race, which was won by Ty Gibbs. IRP Raceway, whatever that is, I never really heard of that either.
IRP stands for Indianapolis Raceway Park. It is a short track in Indianapolis that's right outside of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The ARCA cars don't really work well on a track the size of Indianapolis. For that, the racing is not as exciting there, so they put them on a short track.
Okay, so it was won by Chandler Smith. Next up is Kentucky, which was won by Ty Gibbs. Next up is Iowa, which was also won by Ty Gibbs. Next up is Kansas, which was won by Brett Holmes. Next up is Toledo, one of the doubleheader, which was won by Sam Mayer. Next up is Toledo, two of the doubleheader, which was won by Sam Mayer.
Hey, I got a question for you there, buddy. Sam Mayer, didn't he win like a truck or Xfinity race? I feel like I've heard that name before.
Yeah, he did.
Which one?
I'm not exactly sure which one, but I know it was one in the playoff running.
Okay. I think it was truck, but don't quote me on that.
I know it was it was truck. I remember my Xfinity better than truck, but so I know that he didn't win Xfinity.
Then it would have to be truck. I knew it was a NASCAR series.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Next up is Michigan, which was won by Riley Herbst. He's an Xfinity series driver now who is still racing some ARCA, I believe. Lots of NASCAR drivers or former NASCAR drivers started off in ARCA, like Austin Wayne Self, TJ Bell, Chris Buescher, etc.
Yeah, a lot of NASCAR drivers come up through the ARCA series. I believe Chase Elliott was an ARCA driver before he jumped to NASCAR.
Yeah, Sheldon Creed was too.
All right, what's next?
Next up we have I think it's Daytona Roval, which was won by Sam Mayer. Next up, no, not Sam Mayer, Michael Self. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, so it's okay. Keep going.
Yeah. Next up is Gateway, which was won by Ty Gibbs. I didn't know that ARCA ran on Gateway till I did my research.
Yeah, I don't know either, but, that's how it works sometimes.
Next up is Lebanon Speedway, whatever that is. I never heard of it before. It was won by Sam Mayer.
Lebanon is, there's a bunch of towns in the Midwest. Yeah, it's spelled like Lebanon, but it's pronounced Lebanon. I don't know. I want to say that one is in Kansas, but I would need to look it up. But there are several of them like that.
Next up is Toledo, which was won by Sam Mayer. Next up is Winchester, which was won by Ty Gibbs. Next up is Memphis, which was won by Ty Gibbs. Next up is Springfield, which was won by Ryan Anzicker, I think it's pronounced.
How's it spelled?
Anzicker.
Anzicker?
Yeah.
I think that's what you're talking about.
Next up is Kansas, which was also the final race, which was won by Kerry Heim, I think. Heim.
Okay, was that the final race?
Yes. And our champion is Brett Holmes. I think he finished lots of second, third, fourth, top 5, top 10 finishes.
Okay, I was looking up. I was actually wrong. It's in Lebanon there. It's Lebanon, Missouri. Not Lebanon, Kansas, even though there is a Lebanon, Kansas. But yeah, so we... I think we go through Lebanon when we drive to see Grandma and Granddad in Missouri. We pass on I-44. But I digress on there. But to answer your question on the ARCA points and how it's decided, they do it just by, you get a total number of points from where you finish, and they don't do a playoff system, and they don't reset like NASCAR does. So he got it by having the most consistent season from beginning to end. That's how, wasn't Brett Holmes?
Yeah.
Won the championship. That is the way NASCAR did it up until 2004, from their first championship in 1949, won by Red Byron, until 2003, won by Matt Kenseth, was the last one under that format before they went to the Chase playoff format. That used to be the standard. That's what IndyCar does. That's what Formula One does. NASCAR is the only one who's changed. It was kind of a catalyst to try to build up even more viewership than they were already getting. But that's beside the point. That's neither here nor there because we're focusing on ARCA. All right, so let's move on to our retro race review.
Also and we also watched an ARCA crash compilation as well.
Yes, but let's start with the race.
So the race I watched was at Toledo, the one that Sam Mayer won. That
was it Toledo 2 or Toledo?
Wait a minute, I forgot about a race.
Oh, tell us about that race that you forgot about real quick.
I forgot about Bristol, which was won by Sam Mayer.
Okay, now Bristol was won by Sam Mayer. Now let's focus on Toledo.
Yeah. The Toledo race that was won by Sam Mayer, in between the Lebanon race that was won by Sam Mayer and the Bristol race that was won by Sam Mayer. Right in between those two races, I enjoyed it pretty good. Drew Dollar had a tough wreck in that.
So,
race.
Is this your first ARCA race that you've really sat down and watched? Because I know you normally watch NASCAR as your favorite series of races.
It's not the first ARCA race that I've ever sat down and watched, although it's the first full race.
Okay.
I watched the final few laps of another ARCA race this season. I don't remember which track it is. All I really remember is that I know it either Brett Holmes, Drew Dollar, or Michael Self won the race.
All right, now tell us about that crash compilation.
The crash compilation had some serious crashes. A bunch of cars went upside down. One car just hit the wall and the car just exploded. Like it just nosed into the wall and then just bam! The entire car, it just hit the wall and then bam! The entire car got torn apart.
All right. So, yeah, that's really interesting. Now, this week we're going to have a special segment here for another type of racing that Remy's going to be taking part in. It's not your traditional racing here. For his scout group, he is taking part in the Pinewood Derby. He has done it a few times. He's finished, I think, he's finished in the top 3 2
years in a row.
2 years in a row.
In my second and third year. My first and fourth year, my first year and last year, I finished
outside the top 3. Yeah. Well, this is his 5th year doing it.
I did my worst on the first year, which is kind of predictable based on the fact that I didn't exactly know which way I was supposed to would get during the most speed, and wasn't that good at getting the nails done.
All right, but this is your 5th year doing it. Now, this weekend you did some work on your car. Tell us what you did.
What I did is I did the nails, and Grampy, of course, cut the car. Although I did the nails of the axle going into the wheels to make it good, to make the nails nice and smooth so the car would run faster. And I also did the sanding. Although Grampy cut and put it on the sanding machine, I did the sanding with just normal sandpaper. Start off with the rough ones and then got to the fine one after that. And I want to give a mention, because coming in February, I'm not going to be doing any more season recaps. I'm going to be trying to watch races from ARCA, NASCAR, Xfinity Series, Formula One, IndyCar, when that starts coming into February, March, etc.
All right, yep, that's what we're going to be doing in the future. Now, next week, Remy said if you had listened to last week's show, we're going to focus on Formula One. And he will also give you an update on where he's at with his car for the Pinewood Derby. All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Racing with Remy. So, Remy, take us home.
You can find us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Overcast, and Pocket Casts. And I believe we are on Breaker as well, and we are on some other podcast platforms.
All right, and tell them about the website.
And you could also find us on withmywifepod.com, along with Caregiver Chronicles. I watched it with my wife, and I listened with my wife.
All right, that'll do it for this week. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.